You're listening to Give God 90, where we're not afraid of the tough biblical questions, because we will dig through the language, the culture, and the history to find the truth revealed in the words of our Creator.
I wanna see the light.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Give God 90. My name is Jerry Mitchell, your host for Give God 90. Thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your day. It really does encourage me when I see the statistics I get back, and I see how many of you around the world are actually listening and downloading and being part of this community. There's more and more people joining us all the time on alternative social networks such as MeWe and Parler. And by the way, if you're new into Parler, you can search. It's under me, Jerry L. Mitchell, all one word, no spaces in that at all. You can find me there. If you're looking on MeWe, it is Give God 90 on the pages. So, go ahead and look us up, add us as a friend, follow us, however that particular network works. That will help us get along a lot, help you find us and stay informed a lot better about some of the things we're going to start talking about. Because one of the things that we need to do is be aware of what's going on in the world. And I almost did this one live today, but not quite. Okay, I was going to, and I kept thinking, no, but there is an idea that I'm thinking about. And that is, instead of doing Monday in the evening and releasing it as a recorded type of thing, doing a live earlier in the day so that there are people around the world who listen to this. And I'm trying to pick a time when it's convenient for everybody, when they're not in the middle of their busy day and they're not asleep at night and that kind of thing. So as I play with this idea and work on this idea, feel free to send me your thoughts on that. Either you can still reach me on Facebook through Messenger. You can reach me on MeWe through Messenger. You can email me, jerry@givegod90.com. And those are the best ways to get up with me. Okay, that's you can go to the website, givegod90.com. There's a contact page there as well. So, but to be honest with you, that takes you, right to my email. So it's there. It's there. As we progress into these things, we need to, think about not just our role as believers and followers of the Almighty. We also need to sometimes, as we think about these things and consider these things. And this is a tough subject to broach, I'll be honest with you. Because a lot of times I hear people say, we should never question God. And no, He is always right. His ways are perfect. What we question, okay, and this is going to sound a little odd, is the way we hear His voice. The way we understand what He's saying to us. I have often been leery of having people come to me and say, the Lord told me that you should do this. I don't fathom that myself. There's a prophet who. And I don't remember exactly where this is, but this prophet goes to see another prophet, and the old prophet says, by the way, you're supposed to stay here. But before he got there, God had already told him, don't stay. And it gets him into some trouble. So when somebody comes to me and says, the Lord spoke to me and said, you should do this, that I don't put a lot of stock in. Now, if somebody speaks to me and says something that is affirming something that I had considered or that I thought that I had heard, then I know that I'm at least on the right track, okay? And I want to go to Judges to talk about this. but not exactly the way you think about. Okay, now we all know Gideon and throwing out the fleece. What a lot of people talk about, throwing out the fleece. And if you look in Judges chapter 6, and you begin in like verse 36, Gideon said to God, and I'm reading from the King James here, so I'm going to have to interpret this a little bit for you, because there is some slight intricacies here that you need to be aware of. Gideon asked, if it's your will, if thou wilt save Israel by my hand, if it's your will that Israel's going to be saved because of my actions, like you said, it says, now, here's this fancy Hebrew word, hine. Behold, here's a red flag. All right, red flag is going up here in verse 37. I will put a fleece of wool on the floor, and if the dew is on the fleece only, but is dry on the earth beside, I'll know that you will save Israel through me, by my hand, as you said. Verse 38, and it was so, for he rose up early in the morning, early on the morrow, okay, in the morning, and thrust the fleece together and wringed the dew out of the fleece, a bowl full of water. Now, I don't know how many of you have actually seen a wool fleece. This isn't a skinned animal, okay? This is a sheared sheep, so it's only the wool, and it's a big ball. It all sticks together. If you lay it out, it looks like a kind of a strange-looking thing on the floor. And it's not thin either. It's very thick. So the dew comes to it, and he gets so much water out of it, it fills up a bowl. We're not given the idea of how big a bowl this was. It just says a full vessel of water. Gideon then says to God, please don't be angry, okay? Let not thine anger be hot against me. Don't be mad at me. And I will speak but this once. So he says, look, don't be mad at me. I need to be sure here. Let me prove, I ask you, I pray you. But this once with the fleece, let it now be dry only on the fleece. Let the ground be dew. God did so that night. It was dry on the fleece only, and there was dew on the ground. Now, what a lot of people, they tell this story, it's like, oh, he's questioning God. You have to be careful when you question God. He's not questioning God. He's double-checking and triple-checking. He's making sure that what he thought he heard is fact. Now, let's go back up to the beginning of chapter 6 and look at something really, really interesting here. It says, the children of Israel did evil in the sight of Yehovah. And Yehovah delivered them into the hand of Midian for 7 years. Okay? So they messed up. They were evil. They were bad. They were so bad that the Almighty has chosen to allow strangers to take them over. The hand of Midian prevailed against Israel, and because of the Midianites, the children of Israel made them the dens which are in the mountains and the caves. They went out and hid. Okay? It was so bad, they had to go into hiding. You'll see where I'm going with this in a few moments. Okay? Some of you in the United States may know this already. You may recognize this already. And so it was when Israel had sown that the Midianites came up, and the Amalekites and the children of the east, even they came up against them. So the whole surrounding people were oppressing them. Okay? It was bad. It was a bad time. And it's really interesting. It's really interesting because he describes how bad this really was. All right? Now, here's in verse 8 where things begin to form that is going to show us why Gideon felt the need to make sure what he was hearing he could depend on. All right? The Almighty had sent a prophet to the children of Israel, which said to them, I brought you up out of the land of Egypt, and I brought you forth out of the house of bondage. I delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians. In verse 10, I said to you, I am Jehovah your God. Fear not the gods, with the little g, of the Amorites, in whose land you live, but you have not obeyed my voice. And there came an angel of Jehovah and sat under an oak which was in Ophrah, and pertained unto Joash the Abizarite and his son Gideon. And they were threshing wheat by the winepress to hide from the Midianites. They were, obviously, this was in, at that point, summertime, late summer, right? Because the wheat harvest was in. They're threshing wheat by a winepress. So we know what time of year this is. Let's continue. This is amazing to me. All right, how this happens. It really is the angel of. Let me read this straight out of King James. The angel of the Lord appeared unto him and said to him, the Lord is with you, thou mighty man of valor. Why is this important? It's a messenger of Jehovah, and it appeared to Gideon, and it said, Jehovah is with you. Jehovah is with you. You are a mighty man of valor. You're a man of honor. Because you have been doing the things you should have been doing. You have been following the Creator's instructions. The Almighty, Jehovah, has found favor in you. Gideon said to him, O my Lord, if the Lord be with us. This makes absolutely no sense in English. Let me paraphrase this just a little bit. Gideon answered him, Adoni, my Lord, if Jehovah be with us, why then is all of this happening? And where are all of his miracles which our fathers have talked about, saying, did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now Jehovah has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And again, here it sounds funny because you have to pay attention to who's talking to who here. And the Lord looked on him and said, no, it was the angel. It was the messenger of Jehovah. This is what it means. The angel of Jehovah looked on him and said, go in this thy might, and thou shalt save Israel from the hand of the Midianites. Have I not sent you? We're concentrating on the things here. The things that are going. It's confusing in English. If you read it in Hebrew, it makes perfect sense. The messenger delivers the message as he is speaking directly for the Almighty. Okay? It's a way of speaking. It's a way that ancient Hebrew expressed things. This angel, this messenger, had the authority to speak for God himself. Now, it doesn't tell us that this was Gabriel. It just says it was a messenger, an angel. So he's speaking as if Jehovah himself is speaking directly to Gideon. He said to him, if I have found, now this is Gideon, if I have found grace in your sight, show me a sign that you talked with me, you spoke with me. Don't depart, don't leave until I come back. All right? Gideon goes in and he prepares a kid goat and unleavened cakes from an ephah, which is about a half a bushel of flour. If you're not familiar with how much a half a bushel is, think of a wash bucket. Okay? It's a little more than that. Now there's other things that go with that. You got a little salt. Now this is unleavened bread, so it's mostly flour and water, but there's a little salt that goes in it and some other things if you want. So it's a big loaf of, it's a big cake of bread. Okay, let's put it that way. It's big. It's not something little. And a whole kid goat. Okay? He puts it in the basket. He takes the broth in the pot and he brings it out under the oak tree. And he sets it down in front of the angel. The angel, the messenger of Jehovah, said to him, take the flesh and the unleavened cakes and lay them on a rock. And then pour the broth out right on top of it. And that's exactly what Gideon did. So now here's all this freshly baked bread, this kid goat, and all of the broth that this goat was cooked in is now being poured over all of these unleavened cakes. The angel of the Lord, the messenger from Jehovah, put forth the end of his staff that was in his hand and touched the flesh of the unleavened cakes. There rose up a fire out of the rock and consumed the flesh and the unleavened cakes. Then the angel of the Lord departed from his sight. He just turns around, walks away, he vanishes. However that is, he was just gone. He just leaves. Now that is a sign. Guarantee you that is a sign. Gideon said, I need to know for sure what's going on. Okay, let me go fix you something here. And it's not a little bit, it's a lot. And it's consumed. When Gideon perceived, Gideon gets it now, okay? He understands that this was actually a messenger from Jehovah. Gideon said, alas, Jehovah, my God, for because I have seen an angel of Jehovah face to face, someone from you that speaks directly for you with your authority and with your power has come and spoken to me face to face. Now he hears directly from the throne room. Okay, there is no angel here. This is directly from the throne room. Jehovah said to him, peace be to you. Don't be afraid. You will not die. Gideon built an altar right there, and he called it Jehovah Shalom. How about that? And it's there as this was being written. It was there still. Why is it important that we understand the beginning of this story so that we understand what Gideon's getting down to when he throws out the fleece? Gideon does some things, all right, and he has some really, really good interaction here. And in verse 34, I've used this before. If you've been listening to me for very long, if you're new, you might not have heard this before. It says, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Gideon. That's not what it says in Hebrew. In Hebrew, it's more that the Spirit of the Lord put Gideon on. Gideon was so willing to be used by the Almighty. He was so committed that the Spirit was able to put Gideon on and wear him like a coat. Okay? That's what it is. That's how it worked for Gideon. He was so willing. He was so into being a servant of the Almighty that the Spirit was able to just put him on and wear him like a coat and accomplish great things. He had sent messengers throughout Manasseh. Now remember, Gideon was like, but we're the least of the tribe of Manasseh. And it's like, it's okay. It's okay. We'll take care of it. Don't you worry about that. Doesn't matter how little you are. If you do the things, if you live the way the Almighty designed you to live like Gideon was, you will be able to do great things. Just like Gideon did. Gideon finally, after all these things that he's seen, he wants to be sure that it is Yehovah, it is God who is directing his steps. So now at this point he says, all right, just so I know it's not me, just so I know I'm not crazy, just so I know everything you've told me is not my own brain and my own heart wanting this, I need to see something. I'm not really asking for a sign. I'm asking for confirmation. I'm going to put a fleece out, and it's going to be wet, and the ground's going to be dry. And he was able to wring an entire vessel full of water out of it. Well, okay, I'm pretty sure this is good, but that's only one witness. I learned from Moses that I need 2 witnesses. So here, tonight, let the fleece be dry and the ground be wet. And when he woke up the next morning, that's the way it was. What we get from this is it's not that he was questioning the Almighty. He was looking for confirmation. The United States is in the middle of a tumultuous time. The world is joining us in the middle of this tumultuous time. Sometimes when we do evil, the Almighty will hand us over to our enemies. And this may be one of those times. I don't know. I'm still holding out for a Hanukkah miracle. I really, truly am. If it comes to evil and death being in control of the United States, I don't want to say that evil and death will be in control of most of the world, but that is a possibility. We need to be in an attitude of prayer. We need to access the power of heaven through prayer for direction, for intervention, and for confirmation. We need direction. What do we pray for? How do we go about making certain that what we want in our hearts is what God desires for us to have? Okay? That is our direction. We need intervention. We need the Almighty to intervene and give him not only the permission, but encourage him to have things his way. However he wants it, he's going to get it. And then allow us to be part of that. That is the big things. We need the Almighty to work with us, through us, and on us, so that we are able to see. We have a clear picture of where we're supposed to be going and what we're supposed to be doing. As believers, we are to be the light to the world, right? We are supposed to, and it doesn't matter whether you're Jew, whether you're Christian, it doesn't matter. We are the ones who are supposed to be the example. We're the ones who are supposed to be showing everyone life, light, and hope. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Without life, light, and hope, there is death, darkness, and despair. There will be enough of that later. There's going to be plenty of that to go around. I'm not certain it's time for that yet. I think right now is probably the last best chance for us to be able to share life, light, and hope around the world, not just in the United States, not just in chosen pieces and parts of geographic locations, but around the world. For someone like me to be able to grow up the way I grew up, experience the things I've experienced, have only the education I have, really, and still be able to, through not my own power, right, but through the will of the Almighty, by speaking the things He would have me say, reach around the world through this technology we have and encourage you to live the way you're designed to live by your Creator. And then include the message, we need to reach out to others at the same time and encourage them to live the way they're designed to live by their Creator. That is a miracle in itself. Trust me, if you knew my history growing up, and if you read Tradition to Truth, I spend the first few pages telling you about how I grew up and how I came to believe the things that I believe when I read the Bible, and it says things there that I don't hear coming out of most Christian pulpits. But here's something even more important. I'm not the only one that's reaching out and telling people to live the way your Creator designed them to live. That is something that's coming from many, many, many places all around the world. It's coming from the strangest places of all. It's coming out of there are Christian groups in Muslim countries who are speaking out and saying, can't you see life? Can't you see light? And can't you see hope? They're speaking into places of death, darkness, and despair. We have right now the best opportunity to spread a positive message. And like I said, it will probably be the last opportunity to do this freely and openly in a world that is quickly embracing death, darkness, and despair. And I don't want to end this on a negative note, but you can't have resurrection without suffering death. You can't have light without knowing darkness. You can't have freedom without slavery. You can't have and experience light, life, and hope to its completeness and its fullness without knowing death, darkness, and despair. The good news is, and the best news that I can give you and leave you with today, is that life, light, and hope wins. Death, darkness, and despair will be done away with eventually. Now, I know a lot of us want to rush it, and we want to say, oh, bring it on, bring it on, bring it on. Amos warns us against that. But guess what? It's not our timing that matters. It's the Creator's time that matters. It's the Creator's opinion that matters. And, it doesn't matter what it means to me. It doesn't matter what it means to you. The only thing that matters is what the Almighty has to say about it. Gideon wasn't questioning his Creator. He was saying, I need some confirmation here. I need some understanding here. Please, can you give me that confirmation? A lot of times we look today for a special sign when it's somebody simply coming to us and saying, you know what, that's a really good idea. Why don't you do this? Sometimes it's somebody that we trust saying, I think what you just said is very, very wise. And sometimes you get to experience a miracle. ladies and gentlemen, until next time, experience a miracle. If you want to have confirmation, ask for confirmation. It's okay. There's a lot of times I will say, God, are you really sure you want to be doing this way? I don't know what you're doing, but is this really the direction you want to go? And sometimes the answer is, of course it's the way I'm going to do things. And other times, I almost get the feeling like, just wait and watch and see what happens. You're going to witness a miracle. All you have to do is keep your eyes open and look for it. Like I said earlier when I started, I have been contemplating the idea of doing this live on Monday on podcast only. So, I don't really expect to be on Facebook that much longer. I have had some things I put out on YouTube censored. Specifically, one of the teachings that one of the teachings that I had done and presented at Messianic Delaware was censored for, believe it or not, inappropriate content. And if you'd ever seen any of the presentations I've done, you would know that they are basically nothing more than narrated slides of like a PowerPoint presentation with Bible verses. So and the presentation that was censored was about Genesis. So apparently, there are people in the YouTube world who don't like Genesis and don't like the Bible, and we know that. So I be aware that if you're listening to this typically on YouTube, we may change that venue in the near future. If you're getting these links through Facebook, that may go away in the near future. You can find us on Parler. You can find us on MeWe. You can find us a lot of places. You can go to our website. The best way, if you want to continue to get these uninterrupted, would be to download the Give God 90 app. We'll be there as long as possible. We will continue to bring the message and to explain things like Gideon and throwing out the fleece, hopefully in a way that you can understand it and you can wrap your head around it. But here's the thing, and I'm not begging for money here. Don't turn me off because I'm begging for money. That's not what I'm going. There will come a time where you won't be able to hear me or anyone else bring you life, light, and hope. All you're going to hear is death, darkness, and despair. You have to be prepared for that. And the best way to be prepared for that is to get as much light, life, and hope as you can possibly get. And if that means listening to me or somebody else who actually explains Scripture in a way that they can translate it into whatever language you can understand. Don't fall for these feel-good people out there who don't, they'll read half a verse of Scripture and then tell you about, their friend Joe or something like that. That's not what you're looking for. That's not going to get you through. What's going to get you through is having those words that the Almighty had spoken, whether He speaks them Himself, whether He speaks them through a prophet, whether He speaks them directly to you. You need to get those words in you, and you need to understand them, and you need to commit them to your heart and to your soul. Get it as much as you can, because I don't think it's going to be that much longer, the way things are looking, that you may not have the opportunity to hear somebody like me do the things I do. You may not have the opportunity to have someone like me speak to you and say, you've got to live the way your Creator designed you to live. You've got to get those words where you need them. So, hey, you know what? On the upper note, if you really feel the need to throw money at us, I'm not going to throw it back. I know how to accept. Okay, I know how to be a humble receiver. All right, I'm just saying. Just saying. You can do that if you go to GiveGod90.com. There is a support button there. You can push that, and you can help support us if you choose. There are other people in the world who need help as well. If you wanted to support them, let me know. There are orphanages that we speak to on a not quite daily basis, but every couple of days around the world, and they need help. A lot of times, not every. I know I get a lot of American listeners, but I'm going to tell you, not every school in the world is free. Some of these people that go to school must pay for their schooling, so it's not provided for them for nothing. And we take a lot of things for granted in this country. We really truly do. And one of the things we take for granted is the rest of the world should be like us, and it's not. We really, really now more than any time in history must be aware that the rest of the world is not necessarily like us, nor does it want to be like us. But we are, and always have been, a charitable people. So, keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I have gone a little longer than I wanted to with this, but it's important for you to understand. This is not the first time in history that a nation has been in trouble. And it's not the first time in history that the Almighty has found just a couple of people to get that nation out of trouble. It's not the first time in history that the world has seen turmoil. And it won't be the last. Things are about to get interesting. Things are about to get, I won't say fun, but at the same time, I think we are about to begin to witness some amazing, amazing things. We're going to see God work if you know what to look for. And the best way to know what to look for is to be ready with His Word. Okay? So until next week, and it may be live, I don't know yet, and it may be a different time. I will do my best to let you know, though. Okay? I wish you many, many blessings.